Have to.
Okay.
We've come a long way together over the last year. Now we need everybody, we need you to get vaccinated and help put COVID behind us once and for all. It's time for everyone to say they've rolled up their sleeves and gotten their vaccinations. COVID vaccines are safe and effective. Everyone in the Benjamin family has now been vaccinated, even our youngest. Just like we've done, and just like so many others across the Midlands, it is important to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Once you've gotten fully vaccinated, you'll know you've done your part in helping everyone get safely back together again. Take a look, see how easy that was. Vaccinations are free and available from great community partners all across the Midlands. Getting our city and all of our communities back to normal is almost within reach. We're almost there. This is your shot, Columbia.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Good Thursday afternoon to you. I am Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Well, today we're providing help and information for both renters and homeowners. The extended eviction moratorium, who qualifies, how you can protect yourself, renters and homeowners' rights, and more. Attorney Eddye Lane with Landlord joins us. Thank you, Eddye, so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so wonderful to be here, and I'm very excited to share some information, hopefully to help this community out with this eviction issues and foreclosures ramping up so badly.
Well, thank you so much. We look forward to the information you're going to share a little bit later on. We're also going to talk with Sue Berkowitz with Appleseed Law. She joins us coming up in the next segment on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. Yesterday, we said it was being considered, and today it's official. There is a mask mandate for elementary and middle schools in the City of Columbia. Now, it affects 43 schools in Richland 1, a couple of schools in Richland 2, and all private schools within the City of Columbia, South Carolina. Now, the 61-day mandate carries a $100 fine to the principal of the school for any violations. Mayor Benjamin said that this is being put in effect due to COVID, the variant numbers in South Carolina, and since there is no vaccine for children 12 and under. Lexington 2 is offering more virtual options. The district's online academy is now open to elementary school students. Now, the program was previously offered to 6th through 12th graders and has been expanded due to increased parental interest. The South Carolina Board of Education approved 100% virtual learning options to 33 state school districts. And residents in Lexington County are getting help with bills through the LexCo Cares program. Now, anyone financially affected by COVID can apply for up to 6 consecutive months of rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. Email lexcocares@lexco.com. You can see the information on the screen or call 803-785-8121. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID vaccinations in and around South Carolina. Visit scdheck.gov for more information. You can also, if you are a veteran, VA is handling all COVID vaccinations for veterans. You see the information on the screen. If you're a veteran or know someone who is, please make sure they head over to the VA or call the VA to get their COVID vaccination appointment set up. Several retailers in and around South Carolina are offering COVID vaccination, including Kroger pharmacies, also CVS pharmacies, and the CVS Inside Target stores, all offering COVID vaccinations. Also, if you or someone you know is having some challenges making their appointment for the COVID vaccination, they can call Get Set Up, and this company will help you get set up to make your COVID vaccine appointment. Hey, don't miss your shot. You can get a free ride to get your vaccination courtesy of the Comet bus system. They also have COVID vaccination distribution at their main location in Columbia, South Carolina, at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets. Additional resources are being made available through FEMA if you want to get reimbursement for funeral expenses. Again, if someone you know lost someone due to COVID, you can contact FEMA to get a reimbursement. Also, so many other resources, I'm going to talk about it later on in the show, that are available for renters and mortgage owners. The South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Service provides a toll-free number and rental and website for rental and mortgage help. Also, Richland County Rental Assistance Program is open through Richland County. SC Housing has a bill and rental assistance program, and also they have a frontline workers home buying program. In addition to that, there's resources available through Dominion Energy. It's wrapping up. That ACA open enrollment is almost here. August 15th is the deadline. If you do not have rental insurance, make sure you go to signup.sc or healthcare.gov, sign up to get healthcare. Now, if you already have your healthcare, there are additional subsidies available. So it wouldn't hurt you if you go ahead and log on and see if that you qualify for even more. Finally, SC Hopes has been established through the South Carolina Department of Mental Health to help people cope with COVID. It's a free online portal and phone number. For more information, you can visit SC Hopes. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We are streaming live on the Tailor Made production page. Please go over to Facebook and hit like, share, and follow so that not only you can watch Coping with COVID Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. and First Monday with George Wallace, but you can also get all of your COVID-related updates. So many great resources on that site. Also, we're streaming live on YouTube. Hello to all of you YouTubers. Thank you so much for streaming. Don't forget to please hit the subscribe button. We also have a presence on Instagram and on Twitter. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and follow, and post out this information so that we can get the message to the masses, because this eviction moratorium is really, really affecting hundreds of thousands of people all across America and here in South Carolina. Attorney Eddye Lane joins us. She has over 30 years experience in practicing law. She specializes in bankruptcy, disability, automobile accidents, and also estate planning, including power of attorney, wills, and business setup. Hey, Eddye, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, well, listen, at the beginning of the week, last week, it was one thing. We thought Saturday was going to be the end of the eviction moratorium, and then got word earlier in the week that there is an extension at least through October. Is that the gist of it?
It is October 3rd, so they did not go through the end of October. It's sort of a 60-day type of deal, just to give people a chance. There, of course, is some challenge, probably going to be some challenge to the extension, but I think the rationale of moving forward with the extension was, by the time you get to court and try to fight us, October 3rd will be here, and the tenants will have had an opportunity to at least get some of the relief that's out here. So, people are walking the line trying to protect the community out here.
Yeah. So listen, there are some different stipulations in this extension that wasn't in the last one. In addition to some of the ones I want you to talk about, one of them, which is really important, is it doesn't cover everybody in every state. this time.
That is correct. That is correct. People can go to the CDC website and there's a pull down menu. Each state is rated based upon how high the problem is. I believe that uh, it's high, substantial, then moderate, and then I can't remember the other if it's light or good. But South Carolina is all red and two oranges, and so that means it's high and substantial. So people need to be very careful. We don't have any. The lighter color is the yellow. We have no yellow in this state. So this is very, very serious for South
And
Carolina.
yeah, and that means that our numbers are up, and that's why every county in South Carolina is being granted the moratorium, correct?
That is correct. Everybody's granted the moratorium, but people have to also be aware that there are conditions for the moratorium as well. So, if you can afford to pay some rent, you need to at least make some partial rent payments, because if it comes down to a fight in court or if you're in an eviction hearing, there's going to be questions about your ability to have paid rent. There's a special form that needs to be completed to be submitted to say, hey, I qualify for protection under the moratorium. There's a certain income guidelines. I don't think many people have to be worried about the income guidelines. I think it's $99,000 for an individual and some other figure for a couple. I'm thinking certainly if they make that kind of money, they could pay some rent there. But it's a big a big margin there. So it's out there to help people, but do understand this is not for everybody. You have to also exhaust your other options. So you want to go to these different agencies and try to see if you can get assistance, because the powers that be will want to see that you have made an effort in order to be protected from eviction.
Yeah, you make such a good point, Eddye, which is that, and listen, this is kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, basic bill paying stuff. If you can pay something, it's
Right.
better than paying nothing, because like you said, at
Exactly.
least you're showing that you're trying to work it out. And that bodes well for you if it happens to not only go to court, but even for your landlord.
Exactly. And then sometimes, you might get some landlords who are not working with you and who
Right.
say, hey, I won't take a partial payment. They have to take the partial payment. I just tell people, if you go to the office and you're trying to pay the partial payment, they won't take it. Go get a money order and mail it in, and get some tracking. Because if you do have to get in a court scenario, you can say, hey, I sent my money and they sent it back, or I
Right.
sent it and they wouldn't cash it, or whatever the case may be. But do something and do your part.
Yeah. Lawrence Anthony joins us. He says, great advice. Hey, thank you, Lawrence, so much for joining us from New York. I appreciate you. I'm Tre Tailor. You're watching Coping with COVID. Attorney Eddye Lane is joining us. We're talking about the eviction moratorium. So, Eddye, do renters in this situation have rights? And if so, what are they?
Well, they absolutely have rights. They have the right to, of course, if they cannot pay, they have the right to not be evicted. But again, they have to uh, follow the guidelines under the CDC to say, hey, I'm one of those people who are protected. I would say that if, in fact, the tenant receives an eviction notice or a summons and complaint or some type of notice to evict them, they should respond. Do not stick it in the drawer. The
Or
notice will
throw it
tell
in the
you.
trash.
Don't throw it in the trash. Don't be mad at it. Don't stomp it. Don't cut it up. Read it and respond, because you have to do two things. One, you have to file an answer with the court, and you may have to serve a copy on the trustee, not the trustee. I'm in a different mode right now, on the landlord. But I believe that the magistrate's court will get those documents served. But you definitely want to be sure that you file your answer in court and at least defend yourself and say, I believe I'm not, if this is the truth for you, I believe I am qualified to be protected under the CDC moratorium. I cannot pay my rent. I've been unemployed. Someone in my family is ill, etc. And keep in mind too that some of the help through South Carolina state program, you have to show that one person in the household is subject to being homeless if in fact there's an eviction. So it doesn't have to be everybody. So at least respond. And if you don't know how to respond, get some help. There's so much help out there right now. I'm very proud of the agencies that are taking part, but the people have to get there. So one, I would refer you readily to South Carolina Legal Services. You can go to sclegal.org or call their intake number to get assistance to see if you qualify for services. And certainly, if you don't qualify for their services, it is based upon income, then they will refer you, I'm sure, to another resource.
All right. So you say SC Legal Services. If we can get that number up, what's the number again for SC Legal Services?
I am going to ask my assistant to put
Oh,
that
okay.
888 number up.
That's fine. That's fine.
But it's
we'll
the
get the
website.
number and get it up.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll give you the website though. It's
Okay.
sclegal.org. That one I know off the top of my head.
Right. sclegal.org. Make sure
Right.
that you contact SC Legal Services. And this is a free resource, correct, Eddye?
That is correct. Free attorneys. Free
Right.
attorneys. You just
Free
can't
attorneys.
beat it. Mhm.
Ronna Pearl says valuable and educational information. Thank you, Ronna, so much for watching. Please post and share this information out because we know people, Eddye, because there are thousands of people in South Carolina alone, not to mention all over the world, that are experiencing this. That's why it was such a big thing to make sure this is done. And as you said, you do have a right as a renter, but you've got to you've got to help yourself by, if you get something in the mail, you cannot get so frustrated that you, like Eddye said, throw it out, stomp it up, whatever. You've got to respond, because what is the timeline, Eddye, if you are evicted from your rental from your home, if you're renting, what is the timeline? I mean, you don't have to leave as soon as you get the paperwork, or do you?
No, well, once you get served with the paper, that's not an order. You do not have to leave until there is a court order. And normally there would be a notice of what they call a writ of assistance of the day that the sheriff's department and whoever's helping the landlord plans to set you out, if you will. So you don't have to leave that day. Some people do get worried that because they did get the paperwork, they think they are evicted already. They have to get a notice that they're behind on their rent and there's intention to evict. They will get a document, a legal document from the magistrate's court, which will state specifically that they are going to, plan to evict, etc. And there's a court date. It also gives you a notice of the time that you have to respond and reply and defend yourself. So defend yourself.
Right. All right. So we've got the number for SC Legal Services up. Maxine Moses, your assistance. Thank you, Maxine. 888-346-5592. 888-346-9952. We're going to get that in our show also. And South Carolina SC Legal Services, Maxine says, is at 2109 Bull Street. And it's sclegal.org. Again, please get this information, post and share this out so that people can get the resources they need if they are experiencing these types of situations. Lawrence Anthony says he'd like to add some information. He said the federal government has made provisions to help landlords and renters. Lawrence, I was getting ready to say that. He said, unfortunately, many states have failed to distribute the money to its citizens. Now, Lawrence, let me just say something about that, because we do have another interview coming up after Eddie's interview with Sue Berkowitz with Appleseed Law. And thank you, Eddye, for even mentioning that we should talk to her, because you said over at Appleseed, this is what they do, this kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. They are there for that information, that resource for the community for legal help and addressing, those nitty-gritty issues in the trenches that people sometimes forget. So they want to be sure to stay on top of legislation and things like that. So
Lawrence, I'll say to you, and thank you for watching, watch the next segment too, because Sue Berkowitz goes into in detail what has happened with some of the money. I'll just say these two things quickly. One, in a lot of rural areas, and South Carolina has a lot of rural areas, these people don't have, it's like prehistoric. They don't even have access to the information. We're talking about places that may not even have internet access, may not know how to even access the information. So that's one thing about it, is that I think the important thing is getting to people in some of these rural areas, Eddye, that may not even know about it. The other thing, Lawrence, was will really surprise you. And again, Sue Berkowitz is going to talk about this, and I don't want to take up Eddie's time with what Sue's going to talk about, but
That's
some
fine.
landlords don't even accept the payments. I'm just going to leave that right there and let Sue explain that more. But Eddye Lane joins us. She's with Lane Law, and we're talking about a renter's right. So you're saying what should renters do right now if they know they're behind in their rent, but they're, got until October 2nd or 3rd, as you said?
I think they should at least communicate with the landlord and let them know they intend to pay, let them know what their situation is. Sometimes if they can put it in writing, that's great. But some communication, I think some of the landlords get very frustrated because there's no communication whatsoever. And pay a partial payment if you can. There've been, if people are absolutely out of work, have absolutely no money, really that landlord should be, I would think, out of some community responsibility, refer that tenant to the resource so they can get those funds. And the landlord needs to go and get those resources. Landlords can get the money to help buffer their losses, but some, for whatever reason, don't want to do the paperwork, don't want to, I just don't understand it. It's money there for them to get, and they don't go get it. Yeah. I just don't understand it. I can't explain that part.
All right, Eddye Lane joins us. She is with Lane Law, and we're talking about this eviction moratorium. Eddie's website is up on the screen. I think this is Eddie's website because I can't really, Eddie's website is up on the screen. So if you want more information, please check her out if we can get her information up. Here's the other thing I want to talk about, Eddye. Homeowners. We're hearing a lot about renters, but there are people who own their home that are having some difficulties paying their own mortgage. What resources are available for those folks, homeowners?
Well, that's a great question because that CDC moratorium does not address the homeowner at all.
Right.
So if the homeowner has gotten behind on their mortgage, they can do a couple of things. One, they should contact the loss mitigation department of that mortgage company. That's LOSS, loss mitigation department, and talk with someone. Ask for one, a forbearance possibly. A forbearance means that they will not try to collect from you. They will they will defer your obligation to pay for a few months. So if you, they may give you 3 months. Some people have gotten 6 months. There's also a special VA forbearance. Some people have gotten 6 months and some people have gotten 12. You may have to renew, a 6-month forbearance. However, be warned that with the forbearance, at the end of the forbearance, they are wanting to know, how are you going to catch it up? And of course, the ridiculous part is, hey, if I didn't have it for 12 months, what makes you think I can call for 12 whole months of mortgage right now?
Right.
So, and different mortgage companies are doing different things, but just to get that breather, if you need it, at least go ahead and request it. Now, there's another option is to request a modification to say, you know what, I can't pay. I'm not going to be able to catch up. I do want to keep my home. There are some requirements, and I can't spew them out right now, but they look at your income, look at your debt ratio, etc., and to see, one, whether you really could have paid all this time and just didn't. And the other is, let's see if what we can do with modifying that mortgage. So what may happen in a modification is they might reduce your interest rate. They might take whatever you're behind and put it at the end of the loan. They may totally restructure the loan. It's almost like a refinance, but not quite. You still have your original note provisions at least, but your payment is a little bit different. So different things happen in modification. So you can ask the mortgage company for a modification package. They're going to want a utility bill to prove that you really stay there. They want to see your bank statements. They want to see income, tax returns, things like that. So get your paperwork together and at least ask and go through that program.
All right. That's Attorney Lane with Lane Law. You can see her information on the screen, 803-400-1181 and eddyelanelaw.com. Now, just to kind of go over, if you are a homeowner and you're behind on your mortgage, a couple of things you need to do. One, contact the loss mitigation department, right, Eddye? That's the first thing they need to do, which is basically trying to work something out with your mortgage company.
That is correct. That is
Right.
correct. Try there first.
Okay. And then you said something about if you have a VA loan, there may be some resources available if you have a VA loan.
Right. They have their own special forbearance program, which is rather easy for many veterans. And so they can go that route versus just dealing with the mortgage company. Because, of course, the VA backs that mortgage, backs that note. So they have the say so on what can happen with that.
And then you said request a modification.
Request a modification, yes, and it's a modification package. It's some paperwork, but again, seek a resource if you need assistance with getting those documents filled out. But it's pretty straightforward. It's a budget, some documents to sign, some information, who's in the household, who's making what, etc., and what your expenses might be monthly.
Are banks right now, Eddye, being lenient as far as giving people a modification? Because listen, if you're behind on your mortgage, I mean, will they come back and say, oh, well, you're not paying? You know what I mean? Is it voting against you? The fact that we've all been in a pandemic, people have been financially affected, someone may be behind on their mortgage?
It's kind of an ebb and flow, and it's different companies. They just have different types of policies. But I have seen a lot of approvals with modifications and forbearances. I have seen them because the mortgage companies don't want to become real estate companies. Okay?
Yeah.
They prefer to get
Yeah,
some
they don't
money.
want your house. They really don't
They
want
don't
your
really want
house.
the house. They really don't want your house because it become real estate companies. So they really want the money. So I think if there's a way for you to qualify and show that you can pay, at least try for the modification or the forbearance. And many people have gotten a modification where the payment is either reduced or it stays the same, but they're not trying to come after you right now for the back amount.
All right. So call again. The basic information is whether you're renting or have a mortgage. And, just side note, it is unfortunate that we don't see, I'll say, as many, because I did see a couple of mortgage programs right at first, but certainly don't see as many as we see help for renters. Don't know why, but at least you can go to your bank if you have a home and they know what's going on in the world. So just say,
Right.
hey, I'm having some problems. I've been affected. I'm sure you've noticed I hadn't paid my mortgage in a couple of months. So, can you help me out here?
Right. And also they're offered things sometimes like a short sale. And that's just, you don't want to sell your house. You're there trying to keep your home. But I just tell people what a short sale is. If you find a third party who will purchase your home, let's just suppose that you owe $150,000 on your house is really only worth $80,000. The mortgage company sometimes will say, hey, if you just want to sell your house, we'll sell it to Jane Doe for $80,000. Can't be your relative, can't be you paying the $80,000 instead of $150,000. But they'll say, okay, if we could just clean this loan out, get another person in here, we'll take the $80,000 if we can get it all, cash, get it all right now, and you can go on about your merry way. Sometimes you can. They may come after you for a deficiency, but for the most part, a short sale, they'll say, we'll forgive the difference, but I do warn you that the difference is considered income to you and you have to pay taxes on it. So
Oh, wow.
always talk with someone when they're offering these options to see if it's good for you. And certainly I do want to talk. We have a few minutes to talk about what happens if they don't work with you.
Right.
So if you get foreclosure documents, which is, there will be some funny looking document called a lis pendens. That's a notice to the world that they have a lien and they're proceeding against you. The second is you'll get that summons and complaint, maybe with the lis pendens or without. That is a lawsuit to take your home. It gives you 30 days to file a response. File a response, okay? Because what will happen after the 30 days is you'll get what's called a default judgment, meaning whatever that mortgage company asks for in that complaint, they're going to get. You don't get to go to court later. It's going to be a court date, but you don't get to stand up and defend yourself because you defaulted. So get with someone if you get that paper. Also, there is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is not the bad word that people think it is. It is federal law. It is relief. It will stop a foreclosure dead in its shoes. Okay. If you qualify, there are qualifications for it. It's Chapter 13. You might want to talk to a bankruptcy attorney if you're just up against the wall. You feel like you can get going, making payments again, but you just cannot catch it up, and you do not want to default.
Right. Well, contact Eddye Lane. You said contact a bankruptcy attorney. You are a bankruptcy attorney.
I wasn't soliciting, but you can call me if they want to. Yeah.
Contact Eddye Lane, 803-400-1181, 8-400-1181, and log on to her website. It's right here, eddyelanelaw.com for more information. You can click on that red thing right there, more than a consultation. It's a conversation she has right there on the side with the chat. You can ask questions, and you can find out more about Eddye, bankruptcy, disability, auto accidents, if you want more information. Because as you said, Eddye, bankruptcy, I think we've been taught or to believe something's wrong with bankruptcy, but people go through bankruptcy all the time, and just kind of reorganization. They should probably call it something else, but Right.
I know it sounds like a bad word, but it's a reorganization, and it's legal. It's federal law. It protects you all over the country. Yeah. So people should at least check it out and get their facts.
So you do have some options. If you are a homeowner, contact your bank, see what can happen. Maybe you could get a modification. If you are a veteran and or have a VA loan, contact the VA, because as Eddye said, they have their own programs in place and available, and contact Eddye Lane or another bankruptcy attorney and find out what your other options are. Bankruptcy could be an option for you. Short sale could be an option for you. But whatever you do, contact somebody who knows, not your cousin, your third cousin from your mother's uncle. Contact somebody that is a professional and knows what they're talking about, like Eddye Lane. Contact her again at eddyelanelaw.com or 803-400-1181. Eddye, anything else in closing that we need to know?
I would just say for people, definitely don't get complacent, folks. This is not on subject, but go get vaccinated, please. Just
well, this is on the subject. This is why we're in this situation.
Yeah, protect yourself, protect other people. It's not about you anymore. It's our whole health community. It's other people. It's little children. If you want to do something good in life, get yourself protected or stay at home. Yeah. But thank you so much, Tre, and thank you so much for being a place where people can come and get valuable information. And I'll be happy to come back anytime. And thanks again for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eddye Lane. Contact her if you want more information, if you need legal advice concerning your finances. Contact Eddye Lane Law. I'm Tre Tailor. Coming up next, we'll talk with Sue Berkowitz with Appleseed Law, more about the eviction moratorium. She's going to tell us more about homeowners, renters, and landlords. It's valuable information you won't want to miss. That's coming up next on Coping with COVID.
You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul Cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or TaylorMade Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern Style Cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From
You're watching
MC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
How will you remember the year 2020?
COVID.
Losing my job.
Working 12-hour shifts in a mask.
Losing my grandma to COVID.
COVID has claimed thousands in South Carolina and strained our health system, schools, businesses, and families. If you're struggling and need to talk, call SC Hopes. That free call can help put you in touch with people who can help. This goes for healthcare workers, teachers, restaurant employees, parents, anyone and everyone. SC Hopes, mental health and addiction support for challenging times.
You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Good afternoon. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, don't forget that we are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like, share, and follow. So not only you'll receive notifications on when to watch us live Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. and then first Monday with national comedian George Wallace. But you can also get a lot of great resources and COVID-related updates. We are actually giving you some resources and some updates today. We're talking to Sue Berkowitz. She is with Appleseed Law. And Sue, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Listen, when we first wanted to get you on, we were talking about the end of the moratorium. Well, since then, we do have another little short extension. Tell us the details about this extended moratorium.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were really planning for a very different week this week.
Yeah.
And scrambling and trying to figure out what we could do to make sure we helped everybody. The moratorium, the CDC moratorium, ended July 31st. There had been a federal court case where a judge in Texas, it seems like lots of bad cases are coming out of Texas on a regular basis, had said that CDC could not do this. Well, the CDC, it got kicked back to the administration. Unfortunately, the administration, when they kicked to Congress said, no, we don't have time to be able to do this. Well, the administration looked at this and realized, well, if in fact they could show if there was a nexus tied to a health emergency, then which is the whole reason it was initially put in place. And unfortunately, because of the Delta variant and people not getting vaccinated and more people going into the hospital and the ICU and unfortunately dying, we are right back where we started from with our numbers.
Right. We were at COVID-19. We're in COVID 2021 now.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this is something that is now preventable and we're not doing what we should be doing with it. And so, what it is literally county by county looking at what the COVID numbers look like and whether or not they're high enough to make that particular county in your particular state eligible. And, the good news is that all of our counties are actually eligible for the extended moratorium, until there is another challenge, which hopefully there will not be. And, but that's also goes to the bad news of we're not doing well in South Carolina.
Exactly.
And our are way too high.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. As you said, it's great that all of the counties in South Carolina qualify for this extended moratorium, but that also means that we are not doing well with our vaccine rate.
Absolutely. And we will continue to have all our counties eligible until we see a trend where that's changing. Yeah. And so the moratorium is in place, and that means people cannot be evicted if they fit under the moratorium guidelines, which
and what is that? Yeah.
It means you're behind on rent and it's related to COVID-19.
Right.
And you have to file a declaration and give that declaration to your landlord. Now, our own website, we have COVID-19 resources. We've just put the updated declaration on our website, and I realize that's often difficult for people in rural areas who might not have access to broadband, but it's the best and only way we can really get it out to folks. So if you
Right.
scroll down, if you go to our website, you'll see COVID resources. Just click learn more on the little red tab. That'll
Right,
take
right there.
That'll take you right into there, and you can scroll down to housing resources, and you can click on the link and it'll have that updated declaration. Now, for some folks, they've already got the declaration. They've already filed the declaration. If they feel like for some reason their landlord wants a new one, I would say err on taking care of yourselves and doing everything you need to do to protect yourself. And I will say, if you're in a household with multiple adults or wage earners, you have to declare that everybody's been impacted. So you're going to need to do that and get that both to your landlord. If for whatever reason your landlord ignores that, you need to let the magistrate know that as well.
All right. So you said something very interesting. You've got to prove that everyone in your household has been affected. And to me, in my mind, if we're all in the household together, if one is affected, everybody is affected. That's just what I think.
I don't disagree with you on that,
Yeah.
because so many of us can't live in a one income earner household.
Right.
And somebody may, but even if somebody else is working, they may have lost hours.
Right.
Don't have childcare. I mean, there's lots of reasons why someone is not able to go back to work. And so, and I think that I wish everyone in our state was very mindful of that. Just because there's jobs out there doesn't mean somebody's in a position to take a job or has the transportation to get a job right now.
Right, exactly.
Them to take a job right now.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, Sue. And thank you for saying that. It's great that we have all of these job openings, but a job opening is just that, an empty job opening, if you don't have someone that is skilled to do that job.
Absolutely. We talked with someone who has lost her benefits because of the end of the federal benefits. Our state decided to cut that early, thinking that, if people can't get unemployment, obviously they're going to be able to apply for a job. We talked to one woman who had applied for over 250 jobs. She lives in Marion County, and she can't get a job. And to have her benefits cut, she had already lost everything when the enhanced benefits were cut at the end of last year, before they were, a smaller benefit package was then reinstated. She lost her apartment. She lost her car. She had to move in with someone, which was, good that somebody was letting her move in.
Right, yeah.
But then what ended up happening is, she has to pay utilities to this generous person who's letting her double up with him or her. But once she lost her other benefits, she can't even offer that. So people are really struggling still. And I think for those of us who are, fortunate enough to have the types of jobs where we can work remotely, where we have employers that allow us to work remotely, and our understanding, we forget that that's not true for everybody out there. And while a small business owners, some of them are saying, we can't even find people. Well, it may be because I can't find childcare.
Which is the other thing. Yeah, because it costs for childcare, especially if you've got a little child, well, even not elementary school, but preschool. That costs.
It does. And it may be that childcare, you've been offered a third shift, but there's no childcare available, even if it's enough to pay for childcare.
Yeah.
And if you bring a babysitter into your home, and thank goodness my children are all grown, because I hear what it costs to get a babysitter now. It is not necessarily, you may be offered $15 an hour, but if that babysitter also wants $15 an hour, you can't afford to go to work.
You can't. You know what, Sue? I tell you, there's so many variables in this situation. And it's not just black and white. And that's what, quite frankly, frustrates me with folks who don't seem to get it, who say, I mean, I just responded to a post on social media yesterday from someone who said, what's all this crying about over the eviction moratorium? I mean, just, and then of course it was a strand of responses. Yeah, they trying to get over. And what about the homeowner? And da 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 da. And I just simply said, listen, everybody is not scamming. The majority of people really are struggling. They cannot get a job. So if you can't get a job, if you don't have any income, as you said, you can't pay your rent or your utilities. People are really struggling. And
They are.
it just frustrates me that we are so cynical that we think everybody's out to get the man, whatever that means.
And if people are worried about the landlord, they should really be thinking, this money is not going to stay in a tenant's pocket.
Right.
The money that's being appropriated to help with rental assistance, that money is actually to pay landlords.
And it goes straight to the landlord, correct?
It will go straight to the landlord if the landlord is willing to participate in the program and take the money.
Wow.
If the landlord says, no, I don't want to participate, well then, they've kind of made their own bed, because if somebody doesn't have the money today, they're not going to have the back rent and all that money to pay you later.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's now being made an opportunity for the tenants is, well, if the landlord's not going to take the money and let them stay, well, then they can use that money to relocate, and it pays, future, it can pay up to 18 months. So,
okay.
I mean, it really is recognizing the balance of, we want to keep people safe. We want to keep people stable, families stable. And we want to recognize that businesses, in order to be able to continue, need those resources as well. Now, there are moratoriums for evictions right now as well. And there's a way to forbearance, and there's that kind of protection that is going to be ending soon. But who knows? That might be, that can also be kicked down the road. So those landlords who have not been able to pay their mortgage actually had tools available by way of forbearance until they could get resources, either by having a tenant who can pay, or to be getting this money to get themselves made whole as well. So I don't want people to think any of this was done in a vacuum.
Right.
And for some tenants, things, we have a housing crisis in South Carolina, and we had an eviction crisis before the pandemic. We do not have, an abundance of affordable housing, quality housing, and people were living in conditions that some folks finally said, you know what, you're wanting me to pay, and there's a hole in my roof or a hole in my floor, and my utilities are outrageous. And so people are, everybody's really kind of recalibrating and thinking about all of that.
Yeah.
Just like some folk are saying, you want me to go back to work for minimum wage when I really cannot afford to pay, and I don't have childcare, so I can't go back. And we all need to be thinking, we want to protect our businesses and make sure they're there to hire people, but we also want to protect our work as well.
Absolutely. Sue Berkowitz joins us. She is with Appleseed Legal Firm, and coming up, I'm going to tell you a little bit more. She'll tell you a little bit more about all of the great things, all the advocating that Appleseed and Sue do for you and everyone in our community. I want to ask you though, Sue, what would make a landlord not want to participate in this program?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. Some landlords may only take cash and don't want to, don't maybe report all of their rent.
Say no more. Yes. Yeah.
And they would get 1099 to show exactly what they received, and I think that's the few, I think that's the exception, not the rule. I want to believe people are not doing that. I think for some landlords, when the tenant has been saying, you need to fix this, you need to do the things that need, some of them are like, you know what? I just want you out. I think I can find somebody else who won't try to make me do this. I think for everybody, whether it's employer, employee, landlord, tenant, everybody's tensions are running high right now.
Yeah.
For some landlords, they're thinking, I'd just rather get rid of that tenant, or they may not understand that they're not going to be able to collect that money from the tenant down the road, because while they may be able to file a collection action for back rent, if somebody doesn't have the money, they're judgment proof. You can't get blood out of the turnip. So, it really would be to their benefit. And, I'm hoping we all recalibrate, and we've all learned a lot of lessons over this about showing grace to each other and being understanding and considerate. So I've heard stories about other landlords who literally are working with their tenants because they understand they did not want to kick this family out. And probably are as relieved as anyone that they don't have to do that, and they have a way of, recouping the money that they need to be able to keep this business in place, and relieved that they don't have to look a mom and a dad or someone
more children
in the eye and say, I'm really sorry, but there's nothing else I can do. I mean, I believe in the best in people, and I want to believe that more people will be availing themselves of it than not.
Sue Berkowitz joins us. She is with Appleseed Law. You can see her website and the information on there. It has a host of great resources. Tell us about some of the resources that people can take advantage of on the website, Sue.
Well, we try to cover a lot of issues that impact especially low wealth South Carolinians. So we have information about housing, about debts, about high cost lending and the problems with high cost lending. We have information for immigrants. We try to keep, especially on our COVID site, everything in English and in Spanish so that people can take advantage of it. We have information about how to access certain benefits like SNAP or Medicaid. And we have blogs with information, and we try to provide information at a between a 5th and 7th grade reading level, because we also recognize as lawyers not everybody understands the technical stuff. We talk in legalese, and we don't want to talk in legalese. We want this information to be accessible and available for everyone. And so a lot of the work that we do, some of it is litigation. So, for example, we represent all the foster kids along with our co-counsel when we sued DSS about the problems in foster care. But I will also say we work directly with DSS on issues that have to do with benefits, and are really, really proud that DSS was able to convince the governor to extend the increased federal SNAP benefits so that people who are hurting right now will be able to get additional SNAP benefits and get what they need to be able to feed their families.
I was just going to stop right there to say, that was a big thing. And, Conley Ann Ragley, who is Director of External Affairs and Public Relations at DSS, was on the show. It's funny. She was on the show week before last talking about how they were going to end. And then she came back and said, hold up, wait a minute. They're not going to end. They've been extended. So, I mean, I think it is so amazing, and want people to know that your firm, Appleseed, is an advocate for people in the communities, for the underserved population, for the disparities that happen so much in our world, but particularly here in South Carolina. So thank you for, everything that your organization does. You can continue.
we were glad to do it. And one of the things I will say is we partner with both individuals and impacted folk, and we asked people to reach out to the governor and let the governor know that people still needed their SNAP benefits. And we were really thrilled how many calls were made. And we think that helped, along with having an administration that at DSS that truly believed that it was important to make sure people were fed.
Right. So what happens after October? Because this extended temporary moratorium ends in October. What needs to happen for it to be extended?
Well, my hope is it ends because our COVID numbers are going back down. People are doing the right thing, and people are thinking about each other and getting vaccinated. If it ends, then evictions can start again for non-payment, even if COVID is involved. It doesn't mean all evictions have been stopped. There are other reasons people get evicted outside of it. That can be.
Yeah, this is COVID related. And like you said, you've got to prove that your income, your job, whatever was negatively affected due to the pandemic.
Exactly. But what will happen, I think these next 2 months are critical because there are literally hundreds of millions of dollars of rental assistance out there. And if your landlord won't work with you and take the rental assistance and is still saying no matter what, they're going to evict you, then that money can be used for relocation and going to a new place and getting yourself set up, and for future rent if you're not able to pay rent. And so I think what's really important for those folks who live in the counties that have their own pot of money, and those are obviously the larger counties, Charleston, Berkeley, Horry, Richland, Greenville, Anderson, and Spartanburg, you need to go to your county government site and need to apply for that money so that your rent can get paid and you can stay safe.
Yeah.
And past and most likely future. It also will help you with your utilities. If your landlord's not working with you, then you can work with the counties to, if you're going to need to move, to make sure that takes place. For the other 39 counties, you need to go to the South Carolina Housing Finance Authority, schousing.com, and apply under SC Stays Plus. Now, I'm going to tell you that money is rolling out slowly. And we're going to continue to have conversations to see what we can do and what our partners can do to speed that up. It is not dissimilar to what happened when people were trying to get unemployment for so long and, waiting months, literally months before they could get things resolved. So it's really important for people to contact. Thank you for putting this site up. For people to contact and get your applications in and do what needs to be done to get it processed. Now, the good news is that the federal government and Treasury have lightened some of the documentation that needs to be done.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's easier, and hopefully will be easier for those applications to be processed. But don't wait. Don't wait till October 3rd to do this. If you need it, get yourself in the queue. Get yourself in that line to get processed and get that money, because we don't know. I mean, every time there's been an extension, we've been eternally grateful. But at some point, there won't be an extension again.
Right.
We want people to access that funding. $371 million as $50 million has come, 271 to the state. We need to get that money out and into the landlords' accounts, and if not, to get people resettled.
Yeah, that's such great information to know. God bless you. And as you said, even if your landlord does not want to take it, you can get the money and relocate. there are millions and millions of funds that are still available. We talk about that on the show every day. As a matter of fact, check the scroll at the bottom of the screen, because throughout the show, we will be showing you financial and medical resources throughout the state of South Carolina. Saw an interview earlier this week, Sue, with Congressman Clyburn, who said there are millions of dollars still available. My concern is, what about these people in maybe the rural areas? Folks who, I mean, look, one of the other things that happened during the pandemic is we recognize the lack of internet access that we have in every part of the state. I mean, shoot, you can be in downtown Columbia some days and lose your signal. So you know what it must be like in some of the rural areas. So my concern are those people that the information's not getting to, or they don't even know how to access it.
I absolutely agree. And I think that's why it's so important. And that's why I'm so grateful for all you're doing to get the information out and have been during all of this time of crisis. I think that, we need to meet people where they are. As my friend Councilwoman Devine I said recently, and that may be, we need to get the faith community out there. We need to get local political leaders out there. We need to be getting the nonprofit groups out there. I mean, this is all hands on deck, because you're right. While you and I, we're regularly checking our emails.
Yes.
Or social media, there are people who can't or won't have access to that. So we have to continue to think about, well, how are there other ways to do it? I mean, the most disappointing thing I heard was when President Biden suggested going door to door, which is how organizing happens and is the best way to make it happen. Yeah. And then our governor said no. Once again, in his life, he doesn't need someone to knock on his door for him to get information. But somebody out in Lee County or Allendale, that may be the best way we get to that person. So we've got to meet people where they are, and it is all hands on deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Sue Berkowitz with Appleseed Law. You see her information at the bottom of the screen. They have so many resources available, their Facebook page, their website. If you need information, if you have a question, or if you know someone that may need the information, please share Sue and her colleagues' information so that we can get this money to the people that need it. This is the same thing as the vaccine. We've got the same kind of pool of people who don't have access. And it is a lot of people in this state because we're so rural. We have so many rural pockets. So they need the information, one, about the vaccine, two, about these millions of dollars that are available for rental assistance. And again, don't forget, even if your landlord does not want to work with you with this money, you can get the money and relocate somewhere else. That's, for me, one of the biggest takeaways. And as you said, Sue, there are programs also available for homeowners, because I don't want to ignore that, because folks still got to pay their mortgage.
Sure. But we need to remember that while we're helping the tenant, we're also helping the landlord.
Yes. Yeah.
This is us all coming together and finding a holistic solution.
Yeah. Sue Berkowitz with Appleseed Law. Thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all of the work that you and your colleagues at Appleseed are doing in our community. And I appreciate you coming on today and sharing it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, my head wraps up. Let me go to the other west side. Listen, thank you so much for joining us for Coping with COVID. Once again, post and share this information out. I got my head wrap is a little drunk. Post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because there are so many people that really are affected by by the financial strains that are happening, rentals, mortgages. So please continue to post and share this message out. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that can help someone cope with COVID, go to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox us so that we can help spotlight you or your initiative. If you have a product or service that can help someone cope with COVID, the information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Please email copingwith@tretailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like SCDHEC, In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Also, Palmetto Painting Services, Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, Javis Tax Services, the Comet Bus System, Agape Counseling and Training Center, Palmetto Media Connections, and the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson. Hey, coming up tomorrow, it's usually Faith Friday or Franchise Friday. We're going to do our Fun Day Monday with comedian George Wallace. We were not able to connect with George on Monday, so he's going to come tomorrow and give us his take on the current events. Coming up next, Wellness Wednesday, it's National Health Care Center Week. We're going to talk with some healthcare professionals and see what they've got going on. Next Thursday, every second Thursday of the month, No Justice, KNOW Justice. I think we got a graphic for that. No Peace with Attorney Byron Gibson with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. He's with us every second Thursday. And then next Friday, Santana Hayes with Midlands Fatherhood Coalition is going to join us with some great things they're doing for single fathers in our community. And singer True. We're going to have a little bit of music. All that and more coming up on Coping with COVID. Before I leave you, I want to leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling, as we do every day. Today is August 5th. And today Jesus says, "Sit quietly in my presence while I bless you. Make your mind like a still pool of water, ready to receive whatever thoughts I drop into it." What Jesus says, not what you say. "My sufficiency as you consider the challenges this day presents. Rest in my sufficiency. Do not wear yourself out by worrying about whether you can cope with the pressures. Keep looking at me and communicating with me as we walk through this day together." Jesus says, "Take time to rest by the wayside, for I am not in a hurry. A leisurely pace accomplishes more than a hurried striving. When you rush, you forget who you are and whose you are. Remember that you are my royalty in my kingdom." That's your Jesus Calling for today, Thursday, August 5th. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, please post and share this important information out because a lot of people are needing some help with their rent and their mortgages. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Stay safe, be careful, get your vaccine, and still wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. I'll see you tomorrow.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.